Jesse on Fire says, for us, big fan, have you considered that Max versus Hulk is the first GOAT fight where you have a definitive two best guys ever and their weight fighting is their prime? Agree. Guys, I personally still think Jose Aldo was the greatest featherweight of all time. Now, I know I'm getting a lot of heat for that. That's just my personal opinion. You know, there's, of course, McGregor beat him. And he beat him in 13 seconds and in style and in a devastating fashion. And it was jaw-droppingly amazing. I was there, okay? But he never defended the title and he went on to have losses. Jose Aldo took that loss and came back. He came back to beat Frankie Edgar for their interim title at UFC 200. And he came back and he came back. And now he went down to 135 as well and he's still winning. I have to check his record now. What happened to him at 135? I got to double check that again. I know he had a few losses, but also some stunning performances. Okay, let me just double check here. Jose Aldo, man, what a win! Like, I think a lot of you guys are a little younger. You haven't been there when he was going through his tear. Okay, let's look at his. I'm looking here. Oh my God, man, he has win after win. Don't forget, guys, he was WEC champion. UFC didn't have a 145 weight division, so he was the champion of WEC, which was UFC, owned by UFC, at 145. Don't forget. And then when they opened up, they absorbed WEC. They took all the fighters from WEC and put them in UFC. They had the 145 division. He goes on a tear and beats absolutely everybody. Mike Brown, Uriah Faber, Manny Gambarian, Mark Hominick, Kenny Florian, Chad Mendez, Frankie Edgar, Korean Zombie, Ricardo Lamas, Chad Mendez, in an epic battle. If you guys didn't see that fight, of course you guys seen that fight. It's one of the best title fights in history. Loses to Conor McGregor. Comes back to win against Frankie Edgar. Loses to Max Holloway twice in a row. Now, I do remember that, okay, guys? Max Holloway definitely is a better fighter than him if they fought again. Max is in the prime of his career. But Jose Aldo was at the end of his rope during that time. You guys got to see this incredible run he was on. I mean, I don't want to count the fights, but he was beating the who's who. Now, I'm saying it's arguable who was the best of all time because Max Holloway, man, Max Holloway is an incredible 145er. Let's see what he did here. Let's see who he beat again. He beat Jose Aldo twice, beat Anthony Pettis, beat Jose Aldo twice. Then he lost to Dustin Poirier. That was at 55. Then he beat Frankie Edgar. That was at 45. And then he loses twice in a row to Alexander Volkanovski. Now, he beat Calvin Kattar. That's an incredible win. He beat Yair Rodriguez. I just watched that fight again today. What a fight. What an incredible fight. Yair Rodriguez fought brilliantly in round 1 and round 2. Things got shaky. What a back and forth battle. And in round 3, Max Holloway just starts taking over. He's a phenom. But look at this. Look how he won his title. He won his title. He beats Ricardo Lamas. He beats Anthony Pettis. He beats Jose Aldo twice in a row, but a broken Jose Aldo. And Jose Aldo at the end of his career, who then later on goes down to 135. Okay. And then loses. He beats Brian Ortega. That was arguably his best performance ever. Okay. He loses Dustin Poirier for the 55er title. Beats Frankie Edgar at 145. Very impressive. But again, Frankie Edgar very past his prime. Very past his prime. And then he loses twice to Alexander Volkanovski. Now, look, I thought he beat Alexander Volkanovski. But the fights were so close, we can't say he was the greatest of all time. In my opinion, we can't say. When Jose Aldo beat Chad Mendez in the first title fight, it was super back and forth. Super, like it was a seesaw battle. Incredibly dramatic battle. But everybody agreed Jose Aldo won. Second time they fight, he knocks him out. He knocks out Chad Mendez. Now, Chad Mendez was in his prime. Chad Mendez was tearing up the 145 division. He was the Volkanovski of the time. Now, I know Volkanovski beat Chad Mendez. I saw the fight. You could see that the torch is being passed. One generation becoming, superseding another. But he lost. Max Holloway lost twice to Volkanovski. Now, the wins the Volkanovski got were still so close. Volkanovski and Max Holloway didn't dominate the division, in my opinion, the way Jose Aldo had a domination. When Jose Aldo fought Mark Hominick had come into UFC, beat the 155 best, the uncrowned champion. I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Let me see here. Jose Aldo. Yves Edwards. Okay, he beat Yves Edwards at 155. He's a 145er. Then, of course, the 45 division opened up for him. They let him fight it because he was last minute replacement at 55. He goes in 145, goes on a tear, fights Jose Aldo. Now Jose Aldo completely dominated that fight until the very end of the fight, the last round. Okay, the Hominick took him down. I actually no, that wasn't Hominick. I think I can't remember how it ended, but I remember Hominick coming on strong in the last round. Okay, I remember I was there. It was many years ago. Again, Jose Aldo was winning those fights in style. He was winning. There was no controversy over his wins. He was winning them head and shoulders above the rest. Max Holloway had, in my opinion, beat Volkanovski. Round one, first fight was very close. I thought the second fight he won it. I couldn't believe that they gave it to Volkanovski. So can I say Volkanovski's the best? I don't think he won those fights. Can I say Max Holloway's the best? He didn't win that convincingly enough. He didn't win that. There's still incredible featherweights, legends, and the title is still up for grabs. But in my opinion, watching how Jose Aldo win those fights in such incredible style, in my opinion, and because he was so undisputed. He was so undisputed. He hung around too long. He hung around too long. That was his downfall. Anderson Silva is the greatest middleweight of all time, still in my opinion. I think Adesanya can surpass him. However, still not. I don't think he has yet. But you guys might not agree with me because Anderson Silva stuck around for too long. And you guys started seeing him, old and beat up. And I saw him when he was... Guys, we thought there was nobody left to fight him. Who had the guts to step in there with him? Nobody. He beat everybody so badly at middleweight. There was just no man left. And even so, sometimes his fights were boring. Like when he fought Damian Maia, there was almost no chance. Like the chances of Damian Maia winning throughout the fight, Anderson Silva was never in any danger, and it was kind of like watching a kid play with his food. Everybody was so frustrated. And then he did the same thing again in Montreal. I'm forgetting who he fought now, but he did the same thing again. He just kind of picked and poked, stick and move, and not really fight. But because I don't know why he was doing it. It was like almost a personality issue. I remember the UFC being furious with him, the fans being furious with him. But we knew he could take care of business. Now, he did have that incredible win over Chael Sonnen. Again, one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. If you guys haven't seen Adesanya, I keep calling him Adesanya. Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen, the first fight. For those of you who haven't seen it, you have to watch it. It's one of the greatest fights of all time. Not just title fights of all time. Chael Sonnen, the underdog, beating the legend, beating him over and over again, just beating him the whole 4.5 rounds, even more than 4.5. There was like 30 seconds left, and Anderson Silva subs him with a triangle. Again, so unlikely that he can pull it off because he's not known for his subs really, and he has performed triangle. He has scored triangles in the past. However, not the greatest grappler, And he does it. He beats Chael Sonnen, and the rematch completely annihilates, just beats Chael Sonnen down in round 2. Round 1, he got dominated, but you could tell that he was kind of like just waiting his time, waiting for the bell to ring. And let me see you guys' vote here. Let's see. Did you guys vote? Somebody out there is saying the 45 division was weak back then. That's from La Leyenda Negra. No, it was not weak at all. The division at 45 was monstrous. It's just you guys are seeing the new generation of fighters, and you're seeing the old generation of fighters kind of getting beat up. Guys, that's what's going to happen to this generation. One day you're going to watch it. You're going to watch Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski walk in there. If they stick around. Fight these new up-and-coming kids and just get smacked around and get beat up. Guys, it happens every generation. Now, some, very few, persist and beat that generation coming up and they retire on top. It does happen. Okay, it does. However, the vast majority of fighters never succeed to beat 1, 2, or 3 generation of fighters. Jose Aldo, I would say, successfully beat 2 generations of fighters. If he had beaten McGregor, we would have said, look, he's undisputedly the greatest featherweight of all time. I'm telling you, it's disputable. I do agree it's disputable. My pick is Jose Aldo. What I'm saying is he stuck around for too long, and that's why it's so debatable. But there was a time and place, guys, where he cleaned out the division and there was no second place. Volkanovski and Max Holloway are the two best guys. They're not, one is not better than the other. The fights are so close, we can't decide who won. Okay? You change, you change your judges, you have a different result that night. Like I said, if I was a judge, I was scoring it for Max Holloway. I was scoring it for Max. I could see that the fights were close and you can interpret it a different way. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, thank you, everyone, for correcting me. He knocked out Chad Mendes in the first fight and then took him to decision in the second fight. That is correct. Thank you very much. I mixed that up. Hey, Coach, do you agree with the top 10 fighters of all time? Number 1, GSP. Of course. Number 2, John Jones. Number 3, guys, I eliminated anybody who didn't pass USADA. Number 3, Aldo. Number 4, Fedor. Number 5, Matt Hughes. Number 6, Anderson. Number 7, Mighty Mouse. Number 8, BJ Penn. Number 9, DC. Number 10, Khabib. Are you crazy? No, dude. No. Guys, I would put Khabib at number 2. He's never had a controversial title fight. He's won them all. He wiped out his competitors. John Jones won his title fights, but there's a few of them that were very debatable. John Jones lost some rounds. Khabib, I think, has lost like 1 round his entire career. Has he lost more? Maybe 2. I would put Khabib number 2. GSP number 1 because he was champion for so long. He beat 3 generations of fighters. 3 generations. Who else you got? Matt Hughes. Matt Hughes is also incredible. But he beat, how many generations did he beat? Let's see. He beat the Carlos Newton generation. I would say he beat 2 generations. He couldn't beat George. Well, he did beat George. So, yeah, he did beat 3 generations, but then lost to George. Matt Hughes is definitely up there. Yeah, Matt Hughes, I agree with you. He's around number 5. Fedor. Fedor was very special. Guys, there was a time. Guys, here's why Fedor should be higher. I think Fedor is number 3. Higher than Aldo. I'll tell you why. He was in the most volatile division, heavyweight division. Think about this. Think about this for 1 second. If you in the heavyweight division win 3 fights in a row or 4 fights in a row, you're already in arguably the great title fights. You're already. I mean, we're gonna have to say you're the greatest heavyweight of all time. I can't even think who's done that yet. 4 in a row. Miocic did it, maybe. I'm not sure. Okay, let's say you won 5 in a row. At middleweight, that would be really, really good, but it wouldn't guarantee you superstardom. It wouldn't guarantee you, that you're a GOAT. Okay? At bantamweight, at featherweight, it still doesn't guarantee you're the GOAT. At heavyweight, why? Because heavyweight, it's so volatile. 1 punch, it's over. Fedor in his prime, guys. In his prime. My God, how many heavyweight fights? And he was a small heavyweight. Hold on, let's see here. Fedor, topology. What a streak he had. He had a few bad losses, guys. Again, another guy who stuck around for too long. Let's go back down memory lane, okay? Now, look at this. Look at this. Mark Coleman, Kelvin Randleman, Ogawa, Big Nog, Kosaka, Mirko Filip, Krokop. He beat Krokop, guys, don't forget. Unanimous decision against Krokop. Mowed Krokop down. When Krokop was at his peak, he beat Krokop. And don't forget, Krokop had won the Pride tournament where he beat Vanderlei Silva and Josh Barnett in the same night. One of the greatest performances I've ever seen in my life. Mark Krokop, one of the greatest fighters of all time, won a Grand Prix tournament by beating Vanderlei Silva, which was at his prime, and Josh Barnett, which was a UFC champion, in the same night. Goes on to fight Fedor and loses. Mark Hunt, Matt Lindland, Hongman Chao, the Giant, Tim Sylvia. Again, Tim Sylvia was UFC champion. Okay, he lost his title. Then he went to fight in Affliction 1, the one-time only show. The Affliction was supposed to be his new promotion. They were always arguing, Tim Sylvia versus Fedor. What if? They did it. The fight lasted 30 seconds. Fedor, again, he beat Andrei Arlovsky. Shinya Aoki, that was just a playful. I'm looking at his topology here. That was just a playful exhibition. That wasn't a win, really. They're putting here as a win. I don't know why. That was just a Shinya Aoki, guys, like a 45er. That was just a playful thing that they did. He beat Grigard Musashi again. Another. That was actually, I think, grappling, right? I think it was just a grappling match because it says armbar, but I don't think they were throwing real leather here because Grigard is much smaller. Brett Rogers, that was a barn burner, but that was like the tail end of his career. Okay. Then he loses 3 fights in a row, comes back to win a whole bunch of fights. But look, at that time, guys, the heavyweight division is so volatile. I would have to say Fedor is third on the list.